Hi, welcome back. Today is International Carrot Day. I've got a good surprise for you. Let's get this show on the road. If you were thinking the surprise, what surprise? The surprise is carrot fries. Just hold on, stick with me. These were so good. So I started with 4 larger sized carrots. I peeled them first before I chopped them up into fry-like shapes, which for me, I cut them lengthwise in half, and then I took those halves, cut them lengthwise in half again, and then cut those halves until I got almost like small fried nubs. Once I had my carrots cut up and ready to go in a bowl, I ended up with about 265 grams worth of carrots, and to that I am going to add 1 tablespoon or about 6 grams of oil. I used vegetable oil. The recipe I'm using for this called for olive oil, but I just prefer vegetable oil for something like frying, so that's what I used. You could use any oil you would like or prefer. It'll work out just fine. Now that we've got oil and carrots together, it's time to add the cornstarch and our seasoning. I am going to add 1 teaspoon or about 2.8 grams of cornstarch, 1 teaspoon or 2.5 grams of paprika, along with half a teaspoon or about 1.8 grams of garlic powder to these, and then give it a good mix. Once all of your carrots look nice and evenly coated with the cornstarch and spice mixture, we're going to get them ready for the air fryer. So my air fryer does have a fryer basket, but it also has these 2 metal trays that have holes in them, and I figured that would be really good to use to make my carrot fries. So I ended up laying out all the pieces on the 2 trays that I have for my air fryer. You could do this in a basket. Just make sure you lay them in a single layer on the bottom, not to overcrowd them, to allow them to get crisp. And you might have to work in batches if you wanted to make more of them, but these trays were the perfect way to go. If you have these, I would highly recommend doing what I did. And now into the air fryer they go. So I ended up cooking these carrot fries at 200 degrees Celsius or 390 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 minutes on my air fryer. I did do a flip halfway through. I ended up taking the bottom tray and putting it on the top and then turning it around, and then vice versa for the top tray, just to make sure that all of the fries were getting evenly cooked and having an equal chance of getting crisp. After 20 minutes, they looked perfect and ready to go, so I pulled them out of the air fryer and I added them to my serving dish of choice, which is this salad bowl that we have here. I then immediately went ahead and added some salt because up to this point we had not added any, so we're adding salt at the end here. And then as a little addition, I like dipping my fries in something, and I figured what goes better with carrots than ranch, so I figured carrot fries and ranch, it's a solid choice. So ranch it was. And oh my god, let me tell you something. These are really good. I did not expect them to be as good as they are. They're almost like a sweet potato fry substitute. If you did not know these were carrot fries, you would have no idea. They don't taste like carrot. They legitimately have the texture of a sweet potato fry on the inside, and they're just really, really good. If you have a picky toddler or a picky person, I would say you might even be able to fool them with these. If they're like, I don't like vegetables, you could probably get them to eat these. We demolished this whole batch in the process of less than 5 minutes. So give these a try if you have picky eaters, or if you're just looking for a healthier substitute to fries. These are definitely worth a go. We will be making these way more often. Like I said, they were super easy and super, super good.
So you notice that our next carrot dish didn't go quite right. We didn't spread the carrots out in a large enough dish and they never softened up. No matter, when life gives you lemons, you make carrot ginger soup. The ingredients aren't complicated, nor does it take much effort, so let's get started. This recipe is usually a little free-form, but I've done my best to write it down properly. So, let's begin with chopping up 4 cups or 514 grams of skinned carrots. I like to chop them into smaller chunks, around ½ inch wide, to more accurately get to that 4-cup requirement, and to help the carrots soften up faster in the carrot softening part of this recipe. If you have the same 4-cup Pyrex measuring cup as we do, you can basically just fill that thing to the top. Next, we're going to work on the onion. I like to use 1 medium-sized white onion. You can simply rough chop them however you like, but make sure to keep the pieces relatively small so they all cook out evenly. Everything's going to get blended together in the end anyhow. The onion I used ended up being around 170 grams, so not too big, not super tiny. I would also substitute leeks or shallots for the onion to make the recipe a little bit more complex in flavor. After you have everything chopped up, you're going to add a couple of tablespoons to a large 7-quart pot, making sure before you add the onions that the oil is shimmering but not smoking. Once said shimmer is met, we're going to add our chopped onion, letting everything sit long enough to develop some caramelization. Some of the recipes I've read for carrot ginger soup have you just sweat the onions, but I much prefer a little bit more of a caramelized flavor. Okay, now that our onions are caramelized and looking sweet and delicious, we're going to add everything else. Next is the star of the show, our carrots. At this point, it's basically just dumping everything to a pot and bringing it to a boil. Everything will include 3 cups or 720 milliliters of stock of your choosing. We use chicken broth, half a tablespoon or 15 grams of ginger. We use the stuff from the tube, the juice of 1/2 of a lime, around 18 grams if you really want to get particular about it, a pinch of salt so we can adjust to taste for later, 2 teaspoons or 5 grams of regular or coconut sugar, we use coconut sugar, and absolutely do not forget the pepper. This is where the flexibility of this recipe comes into play. You can add other flavors and aromatics like basil or thyme or oregano, but I kept it simple for this recipe. You're going to set your burner to high and let everything come to a boil. Once your boil is met, you're going to reduce this down to a medium-low heat. This is where the said carrot softening part of the story has come into play. Having those smaller chunks is going to make this process go a little faster. Start a timer for around 30 minutes, stirring occasionally, letting those flavors intermingle. I started checking my carrots at around 20 minutes and pulled them when they were fork tender at about 28 minutes. Didn't really have to meet the 30-minute requirement. Kill the heat and add 400 milliliters or 1 can's worth of coconut milk, as well as the other half of your lime. Make sure to taste your soup if you need to add more flavors or salt or pepper or anything else. We're in the final stretch now. You can use an immersion blender, or you can be cool like me and almost burn yourself and make a mess by using a normal blender. You notice that once I start blending, I'm going to add some more seasonings in the other half of the ginger I forgot beforehand. Another 15 grams worth. It's always a good idea to taste your food as you go and adjust accordingly. This helps catch any unwanted flavor imbalances and helps you perfect your own version of the recipe. Honestly, this recipe isn't really that hard when it comes to soups, and as long as you think ahead on the ingredients, it doesn't take that long to throw together. We usually chop up some sausages, throw some Tony C's on top, and call it a day. I didn't have any sausages, so I just added some cheddar instead, and it turned out pretty good. We hope this gave you some easy recipes to incorporate carrots into your daily life. We rotate both of these recipes into our dinners on a monthly basis. The 1.5-year-old also gets tricked into eating this stuff too. So all in all, I think that's a win. We thank everyone for your support and hope to see you guys again. Bye!